of the greenery. If you are going to see that in Telangana, about 26,904 square kilometers of the region has Hello children, previous class we discussed about forest using and protecting. We are discussed about forest, types of forest and location of the forest. In that class, not only we have seen the location of forest, but also we have seen different kinds of forest, that magical uses of forest. So, in this class, we are going to discuss about the tribal peoples, lifestyle of the tribals, because as they born and brought up in the forest, you will know about the rights, forest rights and protection of the forest. You will know about Forest Rights Act 2006. You will able to know the initiation of the Telangana government for greenery, for improvement of greenery in our Telangana. All these points we are going to know in this chapter. After we got Telangana, our government taken several steps for improvement of the greenery. If you are going to see that in Telangana, about 26,904 square kilometers of the region as declared as forest by the government, whereas we have 24% of the land covered by the forest, 24% of the land. Actually, for ecological balance, we required 33% land covered by the forest, but here in Telangana, only 24% of the land covered by the forest. To improve the greenery, government have taken a great program, is Haritaharam program. So children, if we are going to observe the Telangana map here, the greenery parts is covered by the forest. In that also children, if we are going to take quality of forest, if we are going to see quality of forest, it is 16.74% only, 16.74%. As we discussed that 24% area covered by the forest in Telangana, but actually quality of forest is 16.74%. In rest of 7% land, forest lands are open grounds with very few trees. 16.74 plus 7%, 24%. Means we have to increase the greenery, we have to increase the forest in Telangana. But if we are going to see children, every year 30 square kilometers of forest we are losing in our state. It has planned to plant 230 crores of the saplings in upcoming 4-year time. And children, if you are going to see here, all the people are participated to increase the greenery with the initiation of the government. Here we see children, participation of teachers in Vana Mahotsavam in schools. So, the saplings have been, where the saplings are planted, both sides of the roads in the villages as well as towns and highways, both sides of the roads. Children are actively participating in the Vana Mahotsavam program, that is Haritaharam program in their schools. If you are going to see this picture, children, school students started rallies in the villages to educate people for greenery purpose. In the previous class, in the first session, we discussed about the people who lives in the forest. The people are going to call tribal people. Tribal people and forest are very close relationship between them, because forest provides important resources for them. Tribals totally depends upon the forest for their livelihood. Not only livelihood, children, they merged with the forest. Very few people in our Telangana collect minor forest produce. In our Telangana also, people collecting the minor products from the forest. They called non-timber forest produce. What are they called? Non-timber forest produce, or NTFP, and they are going to sell these timber products in the local markets. Tribal people. If we discussed about the cultivation in the forest, tribal people have unique feature of the cultivation, which is called Podu cultivation. So, what is Podu cultivation? You know very well, children. You learnt about Podu cultivation in 6th class. What is Podu cultivation? Means in 6th class you learned that Podu cultivation is also known as shifting agriculture or shifting cultivation. What is shifting cultivation? Means a tribal people, a group of people in the forest, they select some area, they select some space in the forest, and they clears the forest, they clears the trees, and they sow the seeds, and after they getting yield, they harvest, and they are not going to cultivate this crop in the same area. They move for another area. Thus, regenerate of the trees is going to take place. They move to another area, and in that area they are going to clear the forest, trees, and again they are going to do same thing. That is known as Podu cultivation or shifting agriculture. That is why it is called a one place to another place, one place to another place. Cultivation is going to take place. That is why it is going to call shifting cultivation also. So, coming to the tribals, they collect products like food items from the forest. Those who lives in the forest, they are having customary right on the land. A group of people, if you are going to see these figures, children, these are the shifting agriculture picture which is taken from the 6th class. They are going to shift one place to another place, and a group of people, and here the tribals, this group of people does not have any kind of ownership on the land. If you are going to see, children, tribals, they are going to collect more than 60 items from the forest. Tribal people have lived in the forest, earned their livelihood, not only earning their livelihood, but also tribal people protecting the forest. As we discussed the first point, We cannot imagine the forest without tribals. They are not going to do damage to the forest. They protect the forest. 60% people lives in the forest only. In Telangana region, hilly area, the people lives. The lesson is here, Penugolu lesson, children. If you just to recap the lesson, and we have seen habitation of the people and how they are going to get the water from several kilometers, and what are the cultivation they are going to do. In that only we discuss about the Podu agriculture. They are going to worship deities who were in the forest, Sammaka Saraka, Adeli Poshamma, Srishaila Mallana, and so on. So, worship places for them, and they ensure that, tribals ensure that regeneration of the animals and trees. Before establishment of the British rule, tribals totally merged with the forest. But if we are going to see after establishment of the British rule, children, gradually tribals lost their control rights over the forest. In those days, a great demand for the wood. That's why they started the clearing the forest. You have seen in 7th class. We have learned about the paper industry in 7th class. Paper industry needs large quantity of the wood pulp. Thus, if you are going to see, children, the image, totally forest area is there. In between, Britishers they established the industry. So, forest slowly cutting down the forest, and total area under the forest got reduced greatly in India. Whereas coming to our Telangana, children, at that time our Telangana were ruled by the Nizams, and Nizam people also in our Telangana, they restricted tribals, they restricted the tradition, customer rights of the tribals in the forest. Nizam government classified forest into two categories. One is reserved forest, another one is protected forest. One is reserved forest, another one is protected forest. When Nizams done this classification, there were many restrictions for the tribal people. Cutting the trees, and they are not going to allow animals to graze in the forest. They are not going to allow animals to, because reserve forest is a protected forest is there, where the tribals were. So, they not allowing animals to graze, and they started the cutting the trees for demand, a great demand of the wood, and they set up one separate department for the forest, that is forest department. Even nowadays also forest department is there, which were set up by the Nizams in those days. In northern districts of Telangana, even today also we are going to see Gonds. Tribal people are going to call Gonds. They cultivated the settled agriculture, and Kolams, or we can say Koyas, practiced the Podu agriculture on hill slopes. Nizam's government, what they did, reserve forest and protected forest. In the reserve forest, many tribals were not allowed, and rapidly forests were cleared, and later on these tribals became homeless in their hometowns. Hometowns means here forest. In their hometowns, tribals became homeless because the classification of the forest. So, the government, the Nizam's government handed forest lands to the zamindars and cultivators. Cultivators means here large farmers. in 8th class also you are going to get the lesson about the zamindars. What they did Nizam's government? They given hundreds of acres to the zamindars to control over the area. And what the zamindars are going to do? They are going to cut the forest, they are going to clear the forest, and they are not going to allow tribals to in their hometowns. Hometowns means forest. And they are going to get, Nizam government are going to get huge revenue from the zamindars and large farmers, that is cultivators. The main motive is that they require the more revenue from the forest. That is why they hand over total areas to the zamindars and cultivators. Planting the new trees, the two purpose. One is protecting the forest and regeneration of the trees, or planting new saplings or new trees. The main work of the forest department. Tribals lose their control over the forest. Whereas in 1920 to 1940s, in between these years, created an atmosphere of insecurity for the tribals. In this period, you know very well, children, we are fighting against the Britishers. Freedom struggle is going on in these years, 1920 to 1940s. The tribal people, some parts, they protested and they fight against Britishers, as well as they want back of the forest. In the beginning, North India and eastern parts of India, they able to win, and some protection of the control over the forest from the government. From the government means a British government. Even our freedom fighters also fought with the tribals for their rights, for their security purpose. They debate with the British government to give back their forest. Indian Parliament passed the Forest Rights Act in 2006. In 2006, this right was passed by the Indian government. First time, the very first time, it was accepted. During last 200 years, gross injustice had been made to the tribals. Since last 200 years, a lot of gross injustice done to the tribals. But with this Forest Rights Act, they gain their rights. This is a great thing, children, for them, for the tribals. It was recognized that it was impossible to preserve the forest without restoring the rights of the tribals. As we discussed, children, without interference or without tribals, we cannot imagine forest. Same thing in 2006, Forest Right Act. Government recognized that without tribals, it is impossible to preserve the forest, and thus it has passed the Forest Right Act 2006. A lot of changes had been in between 1988 and 1990. What are the changes? By 1988, government had realized that development of the tribal people could not be through without giving them any rights. Without rights, there were no development in the tribals. Thus, we have to give some rights to the tribals. Government realizes that, and government understood that protection of forest was impossible without active role of the tribals. because since thousands of years tribals are living in the forest, they are protecting and regenerating, as well as that is why they are given rights. And this is very important thing, children. National Forest Policy 1988, government brought that policy is known as a National Forest Policy. Declared that primary task to associate the tribal people with protection and regeneration and development of the forest, and with the communicate of the forest department. Here we can see the image, forest department. It provides gainful employment for to the tribals, and it is a beginning of an active cooperation between the village people or tribal people with communicate with the forest department. With communication between these two, the village people or tribal people as well as forest department, they started the regeneration program. And in our Telangana, children, in our Telangana, this program was renamed as Community Forest Management. In our Telangana, this program renamed as Community Forest Management, that is CFM, Community Forest Management Program. This program helped to bring together forest department as well as tribals, and they started the Podu agriculture again, Podu lands again, and they started the forest regeneration also. They protected the wild animals, they established the tiger sanctuaries, and thus the protection of the animals also done. Mainly this right gave three main reasons for passing the law. Three main reasons are there. The first one is to conserve the forest and same time ensure livelihood and food security for the forest dwellers. Forest dwellers means here tribal people, those who lives in the forest first. And forest rights are on ancestral lands, and because from olden days onwards they are living in that lands, ancestral lands, it has become necessary to address the long standing insecurity of land rights, access rights of forest dwellers. These are the main three reasons, children, who were forced to relocate their dwelling due to state development interventions. Forests are cut down for the building dams also. It can be used to undo wrongs to the tribal people over generations, as we discussed 200 years. Over generations, tribals are protectors and they are able to save the forest better. They are going to protect the forest better than others. So, this is an important thing. And here some quiz questions for you, children. From first part also I have prepared here. How many types of forest are there? Yes, answer is 4 types. Next quick question is that, in which year Telangana government started Haritaharam program? Here the options are A 2014, B 2015, C 2016 and D 2017. In which year, children? Yes, 2015. How much area covered by the forest in Telangana? Here the options are A 24, B 25, C 26 and D 33%. How much area, children? 24%. Yeah. In which year Indian Parliament passed Forest Right Act? Here the options: A 2003, B 2004, C 2005 and D 2006. Which year, children? Yes, 2006. Here the answers are. Here drawing skill is for you, children. Draw a picture of forest. Draw a neat picture of forest along with the animals, and if it is possible, tribals also. Drawing skill for you. Here evaluation questions for you, children. First one, what are the steps taken by the Telangana government to improve greenery? Second question, what is the difference between the protection of the forest by the tribal people and by the forest department? Third question, what is community forest management? Fourth one, children, I think you are all participating in the Vana Mahotsavam in your school. Fourth question is based on that only. Children, after participation in Vana Mahotsavam program in your school, how is your experience? Share your experience. Fifth one, observe the map of forest in Telangana and find out which districts has or have maximum forest cover area in our Telangana state. These are the evaluation questions, children, and these are the keywords for you. What are that? Reserve forest, forest dwellers, forest management, Forest Rights Act and reserve forest. These are the keywords. I hope, children, you understood this forest topic very clearly about the tribals and types of the forest and so on. I hope for better understanding the concepts from this lesson, solve the worksheets which were provided by the SIET. Please visit the official website of the SIET. Thank you, children. Have a good day.